selecting Trevor Lawrence, that he's saying that he could be a bust for the Jets. Please explain this one for the Jets fans that will listen to this.
Well, I just want to let everybody know that I have one of the hottest takes in the world, and that is, I don't think that Trevor Lawrence is going to be this guy.
Welcome back to another brand new episode of E on the Mic. I am your host E, aka Ethan. As you can see here, this lovely Tua jersey from my TikTokers that have been saying, like, yo, you should wear your Tua jersey. I wore the Tua jersey. Look at this. I got this haircut, looking like Tua and everything. But I brought a special guy today. This man, the producer of the Ryan Show. Plus, he's gonna start running the Ryan Show Sports coming out January 2021. I'm gonna bring on my man, Mac. How you doing, Mac?
Oh, man. Pleasure to be here, Ethan. Thank you for having me, man. Got a lot of exciting stuff to talk about, and I really appreciate it, man, and really enjoy your show.
Really appreciate it. Welcome to the show, man. Like I always see you all around Instagram, man. Ever since when you brought in Sean and Joe onto the Ryan Show, to the family right there, that's when I really started noticing you really more there. I was like, man, I gotta watch this because bringing on the fellow podcasters that brought on this show and everything. It's like,
yeah, man, we've put together quite the team, a powerhouse team, and we will be bringing more people onto that team. It's just we're kind of at a standstill right now. I wouldn't say a standstill, but we are, dotting the I's and crossing the T's to launch this brand new Ryan Show Sports Radio show, which is a branch of the show I'm a producer for, the Ryan Show FM.
yeah, man. The Ryan Show has been on 240 stations the past 2 years now. 2 years.
Ryan started syndicating at the end of 2019, and now it's the end of 2020, and we are on 15 FM stations, and we are on 200 and over 250 internet stations. So it's really taken off, man, and we got a lot of exciting things coming up, and like I said, the launch of this sports part of the show as well, and can't wait.
Yeah, like that's impressive. Just in 2 years, in pretty much a full year, right there, going on that many stations is just plugging in a lot of stations that other listeners can listen to. On different topics. I know you guys talk about music, news, which shouts out the Keys to the Streets, DJ Southside. I'm pretty sure he's coming on that the Ryan Show live tonight, if I'm not mistaken, at 7, correct?
Yeah, so Keys to the Street and one of our favorite DJs from out in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, Tara J with Hot Double X Mag Online Radio. Go check them out, guys. I just did an interview with them on Tuesday night. You can find that on Spreaker and on their Instagram, Hot Double X Mag Online Radio. They're out of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, so she's coming on first. She will be joined by Ryan Vernell, the host of the Ryan Show FM. And then DJ Southside will be on there with one of his artists that he's interviewing, and there will be an interview and a live performance from that artist. So it's going to be lit. Go at the Ryan Show Live on Instagram, and you'll check out a live show every week, including mine debuting next week as well.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Man, I love DJ Southside. Let me put it this straight. If he's listening right here, I love DJ Southside. I actually got a couple of artists that he brought on the show. Like he put like a music of Lady Miz, for example. Lady Miz. I actually interviewed Lady Miz on this show right here because of Keys to the Street. But he put that music on. I was like, man, who's this? I gotta bring her on. Definitely bring her on in this show. It's like connections right there. Like, and that's why when I saw you with Keys to the Streets, they're going on live. I'm like, damn, man, you got Keys to the Street, my man. It's like nobody knows who he is, but it's like,
I've actually been a guest on Keys to the Street show a couple times myself, Ryan as well, Hampton's Dave, who's another host of the show. Shout out to the Ryan Show, by the way. Shout out to Ryan Vernell, Hampton's Dave, and hip-hop legend Mr. Cheeks, the hosts of the Ryan Show FM. If it wasn't for them, I would have never been able to be in this position to chase my dreams. So got to give them the biggest shout out I possibly can.
Oh, we're going to talk about your Giants, your controlling Giants that are controlling the division for right now. 4-7. You do have beaten Washington twice. So in case if it comes down to Washington Giants, you got them. You got the Eagles 1-1, and now the Cowboys 0-1. But
Right.
the only thing
Go
is,
ahead.
it's a tough schedule. It's a tough schedule you got.
Yeah.
You probably gotta
Yeah,
get Daniel
man.
Jones back, which is Seattle.
Yeah.
I'm gonna let
Well,
you.
I mean, we got Seattle this week, and then we got Arizona, Baltimore, and Cleveland, I believe. And that's a tough stretch of games. And then we, eventually the last game of the season we played Dallas. So it is a tough stretch of games. This week we got Colt McCoy going up against Russell Wilson.
Cole
So
McCoy. Eesh. Such a
he didn't look great against the Bengals, obviously, but he was kind of thrown into that. Let's see what he's got a week of practice, a week with the first team, another week to get his timing down. Do I have high hopes for Colt McCoy? No, I do not. Obviously, we have a better chance of winning if Daniel Jones is in the game. I know Daniel Jones is a turnover machine, but the last 3 weeks, he did not turn the ball over at all. And he has been more accurate. He's been more efficient on his deep balls, more efficient as going through his progressions, running the ball. Of course, running the ball is what got him hurt in the first place. Do I think we have a chance this weekend? I mean, in a sense that any given Sunday mentality and, anything can happen. I watched Colt McCoy beat a much superior Dallas Cowboys team when he was thrown into the starting role on the Redskins, then the Redskins. So anything can happen. I'm optimistic because this division is just absolutely terrible. And I don't see Philly improving. They're actually going down. Carson Wentz playing terrible. I don't see Dallas improving. They just got destroyed by Washington on Thanksgiving Day. And I really think the only threat to us is the Washington football team. They do look like the most complete team in this division. And like you said, if we end up with the same record, thank God we beat them twice.
That's very true because Washington beat the heck out of Dallas. Gibson going out of control, 115 yards, 3 touchdowns, which that's the only threat to you guys really for the Giants. But the Giants have a tough schedule, which is going to be. I know Daniel Jones avoided a major injury. Thank God for that, because if he had a major injury, I think the Giants season would have been done, especially the remaining schedule they had left.
Right.
But I don't know. I think Daniel Jones might come back this Sunday. He didn't practice yesterday, but he could come back. You never know.
From all reports I'm hearing are saying Colt McCoy's, going to be the starter this weekend. Save him from a Seattle defense that has been stepping up a lot more lately. I know they lost a key cog on their defensive line the other night in Allen, and I don't know how he's doing yet. I haven't gotten any updates. I know he didn't practice yesterday, but he's been dealing with like a back injury or like a lower leg injury. So that's a blow to the Seattle defense, but that Seattle defense has been playing much better the last few weeks, and they've been winning games. So best to sit him this weekend against Seattle and save him for Arizona, a team that's faltering a little bit and falling behind a little bit this season, lately. So I think it's smart maybe sit Daniel Jones a game, especially if you need him down the stretch in a playoff chase.
That's actually that's a true point, because I know the Cardinals did struggle against Seattle in that game. The Cardinals looked depleted, and they just lost to Cam Newton and the Patriots, the 20-17. They really locked down Kyle Murray, so I do agree with that. The Giants player that I really noticed has really stepped up at the running back position, Wayne Gallman. That man has really been Wait, Gallman, excuse me. But that man has really stepped up for the Giants at the running back core, because they were really trying to find a course since Barkley had got injured from the ACL tear. You tried Freeman, you tried Dion Lewis, but Gallman looks like the guy for the rest of the season. I would agree there.
Yeah, he should be the premier back moving forward. And actually, when the Giants signed Devontae Freeman earlier in the season when Saquon went out, I was pretty shocked to not see Gallman get the starting role and have Freeman be the backup. Now that Freeman's hurt, it's Gallman's role. And I think it's Gallman's role moving forward. When Saquon comes back, obviously Saquon is an all-world talent.
Yeah,
he'll be the starting running back. But Gallman will be there for a 1-2 punch, as he should be. I think he's proven with his north-south running, even more so in some ways better than Saquon. We've seen from Saquon a lot of this dancing and bouncing outside and running east to west rather than north to south. But when Saquon runs north to south, it's a game changer.
Oh, yeah.
So Gallman does that, and Gallman can pick up those yards, those necessary yards on first and second down that the Giants need. And it's been nice, and the Giants have been winning games.
That's very true. And Gallman has been very productive in the passing game too. Is you always like a running back that could run and catch the ball at the same time. Those are the running backs that team will love to have. Because if you're just one dimension, then it kind of limits you as a player or as a team. I'll give you an example, like Jay Ajayi. Let's say Jay Ajayi from Miami Dolphins when in his prime. He was good in the running game, but in the passing game, he just kept dropping the passes just like that. Just for example, what I mean. But Gallup, man, he's been very productive for the Giants. I'm probably pronouncing his last name wrong, but it is what it is, you know.
Do it all the time, brother. Don't worry about
It's all
it.
just me.
But no, you make a good point with Jay Ajayi, and I think you saw him correct that and have one of his best seasons when he was traded to Philadelphia. You know, they finally started utilizing him the way Jay Ajayi should be utilized. And, you know, he was a big part of the running game that led to that Super Bowl run, you know? So that's a good comparison with Jay Ajayi and his inability to catch the ball out of the backfield. I think originally the Giants, what they were trying to do with Dion Lewis was have him be that pass catching back out of the backfield, but he's dropped a lot of passes. And when he does, I mean, and Colt McCoy missed a wide open touchdown to Dion Lewis the other day, man. I mean, that game was disappointing to see because the Giants missed a lot of opportunities, and obviously they were thrown for a loop losing their quarterback. They got the job done. I hope they can, you know, prove a lot of people wrong this Sunday and give Seattle a good game. I'm looking forward to it. Of course, I'm a Giants fan. We're in first, and if we win, we stay in first. So it could go one of two ways. It's going to be a competitive game, or Seattle's going to blow them out.
That's really what's going to be like, especially with the NFC least, as I like to call them now.
Oh, absolutely.
You probably heard that all year long, and NFC least, everything like that.
Oh, of course, man. Of course. I got to hear it all. You know, we're the worst first place football team in the history of football. I've heard that one. And you know what? You could be right. But just remember when the 7-9 Seattle Seahawks won the NFC West, and then Marshawn Lynch hit Beastquake. He hit beast mode, and they upset the Saints in the first round of the playoffs. Just remember, any given Sunday is a real thing. Those kind of upsets do happen. So.
Oh yeah, that definitely does happen. Next thing you know, we see Daniel Jones running down 90 yards field, and then he trips on himself in a playoff game.
I'll never live that one down.
If that happens twice in the season, you already know how social media. You never hear it, and then he somehow wins the game.
Yeah.
That's the unrealistic thing that the Giants fans don't want to see. Trust me. But the good thing is, especially for the Giants, because their destiny is controlled. Like I mentioned earlier, you got 2-0 against Washington. Eagles don't even look the same at all. Carson Wentz is a turnover machine, like Jameis Winston type of throw. He's throwing 15 interceptions, 15 picks. That's it. The only reason why they're not benching him is because they're trying to hope to get in the playoffs.
I think it's a tough decision when you look at Philadelphia, because that's a lot of money that you're paying Carson Wentz.
Oh yeah, I heard he got $20 million next year. I'm pretty sure. And
for the next 2 years, he's pretty much if he's on the roster next year, he makes $52 million. So, I mean, obviously, you're not going to just give up on Carson Wentz.
No.
He was an MVP candidate 3 years ago, but right now, he looks terrible. And it's not just in the numbers. If you look at his panicky mental mistakes and his decision-making, it's just really far off from what we've seen. And I like to make the point with the Eagles that it's never been more clear how valuable Frank Reich was to that Super Bowl run and to that team, because he made Nick Foles look amazing and win a Super Bowl MVP. He made Carson Wentz into an MVP candidate, and he's gone now. And it's no coincidence that the Indianapolis Colts are having the success they're having. So I just think Frank Reich was more of the mastermind behind that run than even Doug Peterson. And I think the Doug Peterson era is over in Philadelphia as well.
I definitely agree. Now you have Carson Wentz for 2 years. The only thing I can think of that to see if Carson Wentz is the guy is you fire Doug Peterson from the Eagles, get a new fresh coaching staff, and see what he does with a new coaching staff for Carson Wentz. If you really think about it, because you have 2 years left of him, you got to see if he's still the same Carson Wentz as you saw his prime time and his MVP caliber before he got injured. That's what I really think what the Eagles should do. And then judge to see, then they could probably put in Hurts by then. Who knows? That's what I really think the Eagles should do moving forward. Is the way
Yeah,
how the season is going.
I just think you have to get a new regime in there to maybe, light a fire under Wentz again. Because when he is on top of his game, let's not get it, mistaken. He is, tops in the NFL, but not the top, but he's top 10 in the NFL, top 15 in the NFL when he's, on the top of his game.
Oh yeah.
But I just think that, like I said, the honeymoon's over with the Super Bowl.
Yeah,
they cared more about interviews and attention and fame than they did football for a while after that win. And it's showing now. And I think it's time, like you said, to change everything up. Get Jim Schwartz out of there. Get Doug Peterson out of there. Change everything up. Give a new system around Carson Wentz. See what he could do in a new system. And then if the struggles continue with him, that's when you give Jalen Hurts a look. Because right now, you're going to get Jalen Hurts hurt.
Yeah, because that offensive line there is just horrendous, giving up a lot of sacks. I'm pretty sure last game he got sacked 6 times, if I'm not mistaken, by Seattle.
49 times this year.
40. That sounded like Ryan Tannehill when he was down here in Miami during those eras where he got sacked like 56 times in like a couple of seasons. That's what it reminds me of. Really.
That's David Carr with the Houston Texans numbers.
Oh my gosh. You just don't want to throw in Hurts in there, because if you throw in Hurts, then you're gonna lose his confidence right there, because he gets sacked so many times, and you might lose a player right there. And you're
gonna get him hurt. I don't mean to make a pun, but you're gonna get Hurts hurt. And you don't want his confidence to be shaken right away because you're not at the top of your game. Like, this is a team that is really down right now. They've been beaten a few times these past few weeks, and including to the Giants, a division rival, including to the Seahawks on Monday Night Football. I just think that this team is really down right now, and it would not be the time to put Jalen Hurts and ask Jalen Hurts to be the one to turn everything around at this point. I just don't think there's enough talent, enough anything on that team to ask Jalen Hurts to be like, hey, you're the guy now.
It's too much pressure, especially when you're still trying to get to a playoff race, but really you're kind of racing to the draft, honestly, at this point, because of the way how the records show. But you never know. Let me ask you this one right here. If let's say the Giants don't make the playoffs, what does the Giants need in the draft?
Oh, first and foremost, it's offensive line. They've just been a revolving door of offensive linemen. I know that Nate Solder sat out this year, but if you're a real Giants fan, you know that Nate Solder has been like a bullfighter out there and just olaying the defensive lineman, to the quarterback since he signed that big deal with the Giants. So I think the first thing you have to look at is the top offensive lineman in the draft, of course. And you can never go wrong with defense. I mean, secondary, yeah, they have Bradbury locked up, but a guy like Logan Ryan, who has really stepped up this year, could walk away. Be a lot of money towards the cap next year. I think Blake Martinez and Kyler Fackrell have really stepped up this year, so I think we're okay at linebacker and D-line. I think our front seven's been amazing. Our whole defense has been amazing. So really, for me, it's offensive line is the main concern there, of course.
Yeah, especially since you have Barkley, you have Daniel Jones, you have Evan Ingram, Golden Tate, or Golden Shower Tate is like sometimes they like to call him there.
Sterling Shepard. I mean,
if
these guys can stay healthy and stay on the field, they do have a very dynamic and a very threatening offense. Poor quarterback play in the beginning of the season really hurt us, of course. Daniel Jones was just a turnover machine.
I know. He was a turnover machine.
Now, and they lost a lot of close games because of it.
Tampa, for example.
That Tampa Bay, the first Philadelphia game, they lost by 8 points. That's another win I thought they should have.
Yeah, that definitely.
Aside from the San Francisco 49ers game and getting absolutely smacked around in that game, we've been in every game. We've competed, and we've had a chance to win. I mean, I think we have 6 one-possession losses this season. And like I said, it's just bad turnovers, bad timing, whatever the case may be. But I think we're a more competitive team than our record shows. And moving forward, I hope we can continue to prove that. Was another thing that was going on is that the Giants have been suffering for a few years here. And this team is so young, they just didn't know how to win. They didn't know how to hang on to a game or play with the same fire that they had early in the game that they have with a lead. I mean, there's a lot of blown leads that the Giants had this season too. I mean, and I just think that this team is learning how to win. Joe Judge has brought in a culture that I think is going to be very successful and work as he gets more experience as a head coach. I just think you're seeing the trend in the right direction for the New York Giants as a football team on the field and as an organization as a whole.
Now, speaking of New York, speaking of the other side of New York, since you had a little comment before we started recording here about the Jets selecting Trevor Lawrence, and you saying that he could be a bust for the Jets. Please explain this one for the Jets fans that will listen to this.
Well, I just want to let everybody know that I have one of the hottest takes in the world, and that is I don't think that Trevor Lawrence is going to be this god that everybody's making him out to be. I just don't see that. I mean, and I'm basing this off of last year and a couple of games I've seen this year where I just don't think I really don't think he's ready for the success at the next level. And that's me probably, I'm going to get so much hate for this, and that's fine. And if I'm wrong, I'll be able to admit that, because when I take a wrong take, I have no problem saying, wow, I was completely wrong about this. But I'd like to make out to the point that for 6 or 7 months, I've been saying that Justin Herbert was going to win Rookie of the Year. You can take that one to the bank, because I think
right there.
Yeah, I think, even coming out of the draft, I was like, this kid's better than Burrow. They were comparing Justin Herbert to Josh Allen. Why would you not want another Josh Allen? Josh Allen is a pretty damn good quarterback, in my opinion. I mean, especially this year. You've seen the growth of Josh Allen.
I've seen the moves.
Justin Herbert has been playing outstanding. Could you imagine if Justin Herbert had a coach that wasn't named Anthony Lynn? You know what I mean? But anyway, let me go back to the Trevor Lawrence take, and that is, this is why I say Trevor Lawrence will be a bust if he goes to the New York Jets, especially. That organization needs a revamp from the top, and I'm talking from the water boy to the owner of the team. That whole organization has just been losing for way too long. They've gotten used to losing. They're okay with losing. Joe Douglas doesn't seem to mind that this stain on the history of his franchise named Adam Gase is just absolutely disrespecting the game of football every week by, this past week at a press conference going, it's not that hard.
Yeah,
what do you mean it's not that hard?
Like,
you're 0-11, dude. It's pretty damn hard if you're 0-11.
And he sits on the bench.
You know what I mean? Like, why would you let that continue any longer? I know the Jets are typically a franchise that hangs on to their coach till the end of the season, just like the Giants are. But this is like worse than a Ben McAdoo situation with the Jets. This is absolutely terrible. And Adam Gase will never be a head coach in the NFL ever again. He might get a job as a coordinator or another staff member, but I don't see him ever being a head coach again. And the Jets are really going to have to recover from this. Yeah, a great first step would be drafting Trevor Lawrence. But what the heck do you have around Trevor Lawrence? You have a franchise in shambles. And I know that the rumor is that Trevor Lawrence might not, stay in the, might not declare for the draft if the Jets have the first pick. First of all, he's declaring for the draft.
Oh, yeah.
Let's just put that to bed. The way he's been speaking, the way he felt that the last Clemson game was like senior night. We know that Trevor Lawrence is gone. I pray for him if he has to go to the New York Jets. Sam Darnold in a trade to either Pittsburgh or Indianapolis, two franchises that are going to be looking for their next piece very soon. You sit behind them, you learn from Roethlisberger. You sit behind them, you learn from Phillip Rivers. You learn from a guy like Frank Reich. You learn from a guy like Mike Tomlin, who just knows how to win football games, period. No matter what Mike Tomlin has, he wins football games. Same with Big Ben. And I think those are the two perfect situations for Sam Darnold to surround himself with a winning team and a winning culture and then step on the field knowing what it's like to win and take over from there.
Yeah, I agree with you. I really agree, because I remember Joe told me this, that Sam Darnold, he won't be good for the Jets, but everywhere else, I think he will do great, because he just, like you said, he set up for failure there with the Jets. The Adam Gase comparison, which I'd never, when I heard Adam Gase going to the Jets, I was like, the Jets are gonna feel what we felt for the past 2 years when we booed the hell out of him.
And you move Tannehill over into a different situation, a completely different system. One of the top running backs in the game, one of the most underrated coaches in the game in Mike
Yes.
Vrabel. Um, and again, now part of a winning culture. You know, the Titans went out and destroyed that Colts team that we were just talking about the other day. You know what I
Oh
mean?
yeah,
But
they
Ryan Tannehill has confidence again. Sam Darnold, you could just tell his confidence is shot right now. And right now, I mean, right now he's sitting next to Joe Flacco. Wouldn't you rather be sitting next to Big Ben or
I'd
Philip
rather sit
Rivers
next
than Joe
to
Flacco?
behind Aaron Rodgers or something like that, Big Ben. And oh look, there's Joe Flacco. He won a Super Bowl, but he's not like a he's just an average quarterback, Joe Flacco. He's not
Joe
a
Flacco. Joe Flacco was another Trent Dilfer. Yeah, he's a little better than Trent Dilfer. Let me not go too wild. But here's what I'm saying. It's like I can't wait to see Sam Darnold get another chance with another franchise. And I can't wait to see how the Jets transition from the catastrophe that has been Adam Gase. And, you know, let's be honest, a little before that, even in the Todd Bowles era.
go to Vice selections, Mac. So if you're new to this, Mac, Vice selections, I take 4 matchups. We're gonna talk about them and then see what our predictions will be. So the first one I hear, my Finns versus the Bengals. Now my Finns come off a nice win over the Jets, although it looked kind of ugly in the beginning, 20-3. But we did secure the win, 2-0, where I have bragging rights once again against the Jets. And then you got the Bengals, who have, if I'm not mistaken, the quarterback was Ryan Finley. If I'm not
No,
mistaken, or
it was
it,
Brandon Allen.
Brandon Allen?
Brandon Allen.
They went with Brandon. I thought they would go with Ryan Finley. I thought the Bengals would go with Ryan Finley, but I guess they went with Brandon Allen.
Yeah, I guess they figured Brandon Allen gave him a better chance to win. And I got to be honest, the kid looked okay. I mean, he looked shaky in the start, and he did have a pick, and he fumbled the ball away on the last drive, so the Giants could seal their victory. But Brandon Allen looked all right, man.
Yeah, he almost made you guys scared when they threw it to T. Higgins, making it a close game late in the game. But
no, he's shown right a little bit.
Yeah. But in this game right here, I got my Finns at home. They're coming back to South Beach for the next 3 games, especially since they got to go against Kansas City next week. But I got my Finns here. I'm going to say a 3-touchdown victory here. It's going to be, I'm going to say 30 to 10. I'm going to say 30 to, no, let me say
30 to 10. Damn.
30 to 10.
Damn.
I think,
now, I'm going to try not to agree with you every time here, Ethan.
No, that's fine.
But on this one, I have to agree with you. I'm more interested to see what Brian Flores decides to do with the Tua situation. We were talking a little bit about this, Ian. I just think you sit Tua, you have Fitzpatrick play this game. It's not worth it to play him, especially against the Bengals. If he's any kind of actually, injured, you got to not risk it. I know you're fighting for a playoff spot, but again, it's the Bengals. You can beat them. Rely on your defense. Like you have been. I mean, their defense has been playing outstanding. And I think the Dolphins win here too. Now, I think it's surprisingly a little close. So I'm going to say 24 to 20 Miami.
Okay, you got a close one there. Yeah, like I really think Tua, I think you should sit out. I think Fitzmagic is going to – I think you should start Fitzmagic. I know I'm wearing my Tua jersey right here. I just think you just gotta make the man heal, because if you rush him in there, he might tear another one, and then he's like, just let me clear this straight. Tua is a great quarterback, but I just worry about his injuries and stuff like that. Like we were saying, the draft, and it was always a risky. It was like a high risk, high reward type of player, But you just gotta keep the man healthy because you want him long term, not short term, But,
yeah, and other than physical health, we just we hope that he's over the being benched against Denver by now, but you just don't know how he's mentally handling that as well. So that could be factored into some of his behaviors and stuff that guys like you and I don't really see on the day-to-day because we're not behind the scenes.
Yeah.
But we do have to take that stuff into account. These guys are, human beings as well as quarterbacks. And that was a pretty big blow to, I'm sure, his ego, starting 3-0 as a starter. So I think he's been knocked back down to earth a little bit. But again, I don't think Tua can rush back in there to prove himself if he's a little injured, setting him back even more.
Yeah. Like another thing before I go to my other picks, I just, when I look at Tua in comparison to Tua and Fitzmagic, after you've seen both of those two play, I just think Tua has to find a little bit more patience a little bit because he throws it like a dagger. But then,
yeah, of course.
But when it's about Fitzpatrick, especially with the coverage, when there's a coverage, he will throw it. He'll make a jump ball right there, and it's always risky. But he makes his players get to it. Like Jaceki, for example, Parker looked like Javaris Landry a few years ago when they started targeting him more. A comparison that
Yep.
I mentioned, but you just see a difference. But again, Tua is his first year. Is a rookie. He'll start learning more, but he's very
Yeah.
impressive. I think the offense is going to go well for Tua moving forward.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just going to be an interesting thing to see what they do. And, I can't wait to see the future of Tua. I'm definitely rooting for the kid.
Super Bowl, please. But let's go to the next one. Let's go to the next one before my bias come all the way here. But Browns versus Titans. This is gonna be a nice 8-3 matchup. Baker Mayfield versus Ryan Tannehill. Derrick Henry versus Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt. Both teams looking pretty well. Now this is gonna be a tight one right here. I'm gonna start. Let you start it off first. Who you got here? The Titans or Browns?
I first of all, let me tell you, I'm taking the Titans. And
Okay.
I just think that it's going to be one of those games where I don't see this Cleveland defense being able to shut down Derrick Henry. I just don't see it right now. They've struggled with some down teams lately. They struggled with Jacksonville. They struggled with I believe it was Philadelphia a couple of weeks ago. I think the Browns are overachieving a little bit. I don't want to take anything away from them because I love Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt in the backfield together. It's just an amazing setup that Baker Mayfield has because it makes Baker Mayfield look successful. I gotta just be honest. I got the Titans blowing them out. And I'm gonna say 28-10 Tennessee.
Damn, we got a blowout here on an 8-3 matchup. Okay. I'm gonna agree with you. I was thinking the Browns, but as like that Derrick Henry man going off on the Colts last week, especially the Colts defense is pretty solid too at the same time, and he ran all over the Colts defense. I know the Browns just got Myles Garrett back from the COVID list, but I think it's gonna be too much of the Browns, especially if Baker Mayfield starts struggling early on, and the running game doesn't click for him for his team. I think the Titans really got this game, especially when you have a quarterback like Ryan Tannehill. Ryan Tannehill will get you down the field, no problem, questions. Especially that AJ Brown and Corey Davis on that team, and Jonnu Smith.
Yep.
So that's the Titans. Definitely, I think Titans will win this. I'm gonna say a little bit closer though, but it's gonna be 28-17. I'll put it a little bit closer.
You mentioned Myles Garrett, and that's going to be very interesting for me because I want to see, is Myles Garrett going to come back after a couple of weeks of not being able to be around his team and practice with his team? And, you need that on field, even if it's a walkthrough, you need that, to perform at your highest level. I'm curious to see, is he going to be the same defensive player of the year candidate, or are we going to see him slow down and kind of fall off a little bit? Now, I happen to think it's the latter because I've seen this before, but we also have to remember he wasn't injured.
Yeah,
he was diagnosed with COVID-19. Yeah. So hopefully he's back to the defensive player of the year because he's just a fun cat to watch, man. I love watching Myles Garrett. He's a beast. Whether or not he's trying to kill quarterbacks with their own helmets, whatever the case may be. But I just love watching Myles Garrett play. And I just don't think that, like I said, I don't think it's Myles Garrett alone is going to change Derrick Henry being able to run all over that defense.
Nah, I don't think it's going to change at all. I think Derrick Henry's going to run all over that defense. 100%.
100%.
And now to your matchup, the Giants in Seattle. To this lovely matchup right here, the Giants will most likely have Colt McCoy starting, and then Seattle having Russell Wilson and the gang right there. So, who wins this, on your opinion?
I think we were talking before, and I said it's either going to be a blowout or it's going to be a close one that the Giants lose. I just don't see a way that Colt McCoy beats the Seattle Seahawks. Again, the Seattle Seahawks defense has been getting better and better each game. Guys like Carlos Dunlap stepping up. Guys like Jamal Adams playing a little bit better. I've seen all the jokes and memes. He's obviously been getting burned this year, but he has been stepping up and getting better. Guys like Bobby Wagner, one of the best in the biz, stepping up and getting better, and bringing this defense together. So if we see the defense like we have been seeing, it's going to be a long day for Colt McCoy. But again, I'm interested to see how Colt McCoy does after a week with the first team and going through his progressions and his repetitions with them. I'm going to say 23-14 Seattle.
Okay. I actually got an upset pick. I actually got the Giants going over Seattle. Now,
Wow.
now you're gonna be surprised by this. I think the Giants have been really stepping up. I know they've been really stepping up in the past few weeks, and especially they're cleaning on a division title. Seattle looks struggling against the Eagles. Listen, just remind you on Monday Night Football, the Eagles are struggling a bit, but that game was 23-17. Wasn't like a blowout that people thought Seattle would blow the hell out of the Eagles out because they've been struggling. Of course, the wins, turnover machine, and all that. But don't sleep on the Giants. I don't think Seattle, especially if the Giants can shut down how they did with Tampa on that primetime game.
Yeah.
Don't be surprised if the Giants win this game. I wouldn't be surprised by this. So I got the Giants, but it's definitely gonna be a close one. It's not gonna be a blowout. I think it's gonna come down to a field goal, and it's gonna be 23-21. It's gonna come down to a
Wow.
field goal.
Wow. Listen, E, I'm not going to get mad that you're picking my team to upset the Seahawks. I think it's just that, being a battered and bruised Giants fan, I'm trying to be a little more realistic. If we had Daniel Jones, I'd say we have a better chance of winning the game. Of course. Daniel Jones is better than Colt McCoy. And the way Daniel Jones has been playing, not turning the ball over, running the ball very well, I think we had a chance to definitely beat Seattle with Daniel Jones. Now, again, I'm not going to be mad at you. I like the picky.
Hey, what I see with Seattle, like they can be the top team and then they can come down to earth type team. That's what they've been all this year. And the Giants have been really close matchups too. So I think the Giants can sneak off the victory here with a nice victory right there.
I like it. I like it. That would extend our lead in the NFC least. So I'd take it.
And the last one I got here, Washington versus the Steelers. Steelers coming off 11-0. Almost Trace McSorley almost made that game interesting near the end of that game. It was 19-14, and the Steelers were really struggling on offense yesterday against Baltimore. But their defense really stepped up for the Steelers. That's why they stay undefeated 11-0. While you got Washington starting to get red hot against Dallas, which again, Dallas is a different team, Andy Dalton and all of them. But who you got here?
Um, Man, this is a tough one for me because, like you said, Pittsburgh struggled against Baltimore's defense. And in a very short week, because they played on a Wednesday, and I believe they're playing on a Monday now, so they got a 5-day rest, and then they're back at it. And Washington, being well rested after playing on Thanksgiving, I don't know, man. Like you said, Washington's getting hot. Their defense has been stepping up big time. And like you said, Antonio Gibson breaking out on Thanksgiving with 3 touchdowns. The Steelers lost a main part of their defense yesterday, losing Bud Dupree for the season. But they still have TJ Watt. They're going to get Stephon Tuitt back. They'll get James Conner back. People forget they didn't have their premier back yesterday. Although, Snell came in and did okay yesterday. So did McFarland coming out of the backfield. I think the Steelers pull out a close one. I think it's definitely another close one. I'm going to say 27-23 Steelers.
Okay. Now this one's going to surprise you here. I actually got Washington here for an upset again. This is the second upset. I think Washington can really, because the Steelers, as you see the Steelers, I know a lot of Steelers fans are probably going to hate me for this, but the Steelers on offensively, like they had I don't know how many times they went in the red zone. I'm pretty sure they went to the red zone like 3 times. They did score 1 out of the 3 or 4, but it just didn't show up in points, win touchdowns. But especially Washington's defense really stepping up, Chase Young stepping up, and the corners stepping up. I just really think Washington could really come to Heinz Field and do an upset right there. It's gonna be a close one.
I'm not going to get upset at that, man, because like I said, I think that, in a COVID-riddled season and with a 5-day rest between a hard-fought divisional game and another Monday night game, I think you could be onto something. I think Washington could take advantage of that. Now, Washington has also been off for a very long time.
True.
So do we see some rust that needs to come off? Because Alex Smith has looked pretty damn good. Like we said, their running game looks very good, and their defense looks really good. Did this break kind of slow down the role that they were on and the momentum that they had. So that's something I'm going to be looking for in that matchup as well.
Expect Alex Smith to do much better than what he did against Dallas. Let me tell you that. I think he's going to be doing a bunch of pressure, kind of like a Detroit Lions game when they came back from 24-3, but or was it 21-3, one of the two, but they lost to the field goal in the end against Detroit. But just expect Alex Smith to go off. Just note that. Just note that.
I'll look for that.
Mac, I really appreciate you coming on. Everybody in the podcast industry appreciates you and everything like that. I know you've talked with Brian, Joe, the two Joes really, Sean. I think you kind of talked to Complicated Kai a little bit more, but I really appreciate you coming on my show and having a good time on my show, man.
Yeah, man. I want to give a shout out to, again, The Ryan Show. Go follow us at The Ryan Show, at The Ryan Show FM, at Mac Daddy Ryan Show is my Instagram. That's all Instagram right there. But again, Ryan Vernell, Mr. Cheeks, Hamptons Dave. But more importantly, The Ryan Show sports team. I got to give them some love, man. They're one of the greatest sports teams out there. So guys like Jay the Plug, Passing the Torch, Baseball Through Justin, Joe Morley, Mike on the Mic, Turn Up the Jets, Bolstered Up Sports. All you guys, man, you guys all make this possible, and we're doing big things. Thank you so much for having me on your show. I really appreciate it, man. I'm trying to get my name out there more as a broadcaster because I am one. So
you are one. You're just in behind the scenes of the producer wise,
No, yeah, but I'm starting to break in on the more, on the air stuff again, like with the. Oh, go follow brand new Instagram page, Married to the Game. That is mine, Brian Bolster, and Joe Skirto's new segment that will be premiering on the radio, the Ryan Show Sports Radio Show in 2021. We're releasing it on YouTube, putting some segments out on Instagram, things like that. So go check it out, man. We got huge things happening.
Yeah, definitely. And before I sign off, happy 2-year anniversary to you and your wife, by the way, before I send this off.
Oh, thank you, man. I really appreciate that.
I want to end it like that. I forgot I mentioned in the beginning, but I wanted to mention that on the show.
I really appreciate that, man. My wife saved my life. You'll hear the rest of my story. Oh, one more thing that everybody can look out for is the Darren Waller Foundation. If you guys know Darren Waller, the tight end from the Vegas Raiders, is a recovering addict and a recovering alcoholic and addict, and he's founded a foundation to help youth and other people overcome addiction, fund help for them and knowledge and spread awareness and everything. And they did an interview with me telling my story. So the Darren Waller Foundation will be publishing my story sometime within the next week. So be on the lookout for that as well.
We will do. I'll make sure once it comes out, I'll post it out, man.
Yeah.
But thank you guys for listening to Eat on the Mic, episode 8. I appreciate you guys so much. I appreciate you guys, everybody from TikTok, Instagram that really supported me from day one. Next week will be the 1-year anniversary of me doing podcasts. Stay tuned for that. Until next time, see you then, guys.